This program is presented by Hunter's Fund, formed in memory of Hunter Watson, a young entrepreneur who died at age 20 as a passenger in a distracted driving accident. Hunter's Fund seeks to support young people with promising ideas and to raise awareness of the dangers of distracted driving.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the S-Series podcast. I'm your host, Jacob O'Connor. Today joining us is Brooklyn-based fashion designer and SCAD graduate, Jademan Baker, and she is the founder of the brand LOM MOY. How are you doing today, Jademan?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm really happy to be here talking with you. We've got some cool stuff we're going to talk about with the brand, but I think right off the bat, people are probably wondering, what did he just say? LOM MOY, like what's that even mean? What's it stand for? Is another language? Why don't you go ahead and give some people some context for that?
Yeah, so LOM MOY is actually an acronym for less of me and more of you. It was inspired by the scripture John 3:30. And it's just about, as a believer of Christ, humbling ourselves so that we can glorify God through our actions and through our words, and in my case, through fashion.
What is it about fashion? Because a lot of people would have looked at, a Bible verse or something that might have gone a different route, but you decided to kind of embody this inside your brand.
Well, I started fashion maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. I really started getting into it when I went to grad school. And I just see fashion as a way to express myself, as a way to make a statement. And so I think combining the two in a different way encourages people to see the Bible in a different light, and pushes it out of the zone of being like old and irrelevant, but making it like new age and hip and cool. So that's what I'm trying to do, making the Bible fashion forward.
I like that. So when did you get into design and fashion?
So I got into fashion when I was really young. I had an interest in it. But I wasn't like super fashionable as a kid. I was like super athletic, sweatpants and t-shirts all the time. And then as I got older, started getting into art. And that kind of like transitioned me into the world of fashion. Maybe around 2016, I really started getting into it. And I had my like first small fashion show. And so I think from then I was hooked.
And in the introduction, I mentioned SCAD, which obviously relates to what you're doing there. Do you want to kind of break down what SCAD is and the importance and the role it's played for you?
Yeah, so SCAD is Savannah College of Art and Design. I actually went to the Atlanta campus. I got my master's degree in fashion design. And it's just an experience to really explore what my aesthetic is as a designer, what I want to say as a designer. And it was a program that really challenged me to think outside the box and think of fashion in the new light. It was also exposure to start building a network, to get into the fashion industry. And it's an intense program for sure. It's something that is very independent, very focused on not only like technical growth, but also personal growth. So it was a lot of challenges going through the program, but I think I got a lot out of it.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. And for someone listening who might be similar to myself, in which I know nothing about fashion, I can barely get myself dressed in the morning. What is the industry like?
In school, our mindset was really like create originality. How can I be different from everyone that exists? And I think when you get out into the real world, it's kind of a reality check, because you're not just creating one sample. You're not just creating one garment. You are creating things that have to be mass produced, and you're creating things that have to be more digestible to other people and different audiences. So in school, it was very much like creative freedom, do what you want. But when you get into the industry, it's like, okay, be creative, but in a practical sense. And people are constantly trying to innovate and do something new and fresh and being inspired by the past. So it's like a combination of things. You can find a little bit of everything in the fashion industry.
I've always heard you're supposed to model success after those who've already done what you're trying to do. In this fashion industry, is that the case, or are you trying to say, hey, I need to do something that no one's ever done, and kind of open people's eyes to something new? Or do you want to say, hey, I really like this designer, I should make my clothes, have a touch of them?
I think it depends on who you are. I think it also depends on what you want to accomplish, what you want to say. I think it's important to look to designers who are currently designing, to look through the history of fashion, and to see how that's evolved, so you can make more clever decisions and see what didn't work for other people. And it all depends on like who your customer is. If they have a specific taste, or if they have a specific style, like you definitely want to cater to your customer. It's like a lot of nuances to the world of fashion.
And one of the things that you just hit on, and not to pivot too much, but you hit on your customer. And not a lot of people realize is, you say you're into fashion and design, and they don't realize this is a business model. This is you having to make money to accommodate to your audience. Do you have any sort of entrepreneurial background, or how has this journey been for you?
I've always been like, let me make something. It doesn't matter if it's successful or not. Like, I just want to have a voice. This is the first time I've really thrown myself into entrepreneurship. And at first I was like, this is so exciting. Like, I had so much to learn. And then a few weeks or a few months in, I was like, this is not exciting. I have to wear all the hats. I don't know what to do. But it's definitely a journey. It's definitely a journey. And I have to remind myself to show myself some grace and just keep trying, because at the end of the day, it's going to be worth it.
Yeah. And that seems to be the typical kind of entrepreneurial cycle, where it's like you start off, you're so excited, it's going to go great. You've got your plan of action, how you're going to take over the world and dominate. And then 2 weeks in, you're banging your head against the wall and everything hits the fan. It doesn't go well. But I think that just speaks to your persistence as well, because I know how difficult it can be. And for you to have continued for months and months like you have in the future, kudos to you,
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Of course. So what is your business model then? Are you selling, direct pieces, or are you letting people rent them, or how are you making money as the entrepreneur?
I'm starting off selling directly to consumer. I am doing online business. My goal is to not just produce a bunch of things and then them go into, landfills because of textile waste or anything like that. I think having that component of sustainability is really important for me. I definitely want to have a one-on-one relationship with the customer. I want it to be very personal and create a sense of community.
How have you been able to take design and kind of connect that back to religion? Like, how are you sharing the message through the clothing?
I'm always trying to figure out new ways to be innovative in that space. For example, if the Bible says man was created by dust, maybe I'm inspired by the word dust, and maybe dust for me represents a color. So maybe I see rich browns or reds or earthy tones, and then I take that into the inspiration. So I'm taking an entire story and taking bits and pieces, elements of the story, and recreating them visually so that people can see the journey.
I mean, how did you figure out how to do this? I know that there's people doing it, but to me, I think about it and it's like, how do you even do that?
So there's like so many different nuances to sustainability. Some people are biodegradable or their fabrics are organic. I want to focus more on not overproducing, also incorporating something they call zero waste pattern making. So trying to figure out, when I'm cutting the fabrics, when I'm cutting these patterns for the clothing, how can I waste the least amount of fabric as possible? So whether that's, creating innovative shapes that fit together like a puzzle so that there's no waste of fabric, or just different ways to like engineer and maneuver fashion.
Wow, your creativity is taking over the entire process, just from the message of the brand, how you're actually putting the clothes together, and what the clothes stand for, and what the piece stands for in general.
Yeah. I feel like when I first started, I was like, oh, I can have this brand up by December of 2020. And then I was thinking of all the pieces that I was considering, and I was like, oh, maybe we need to push that back.
So are your clothes currently online right now, or are you still pre-launch?
I'm still pre-launch. So my website will be up on April 1st, tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Congratulations.
yeah, but I won't be actually launching product until a little bit later. I just
Okay.
want to get people familiar with what I'm standing for, and just kind of have them interact with the page to see what they're interested in and what they're kind of expecting to come. So
Yeah,
it's building a little bit of anticipation.
absolutely. What is the website if people want to check it out?
So it's www.lomanmoy, so LOMANDMOY.com.
What has it meant to you, though, from one Hunters Fund grant recipient to another? What has it meant to you to receive this funding?
This funding came to me at a time where I had just lost my job. I was like, I guess the brand is the next step. And I got a certificate in the mail saying you're a Hunter Fund recipient. And I was like, this is direction that I need to be going. God is sending me in this direction so that I can accomplish this. So I was extremely grateful. I guess this is the first experience on my journey of like, I can do this. There are people who believe in me. There are people who actually put money behind my idea. There are people who are supportive. There are people who want to see me succeed. And that was super encouraging for me.
So what are some of your plans with the brand? Where are you planning to take it? Where would you like to see it in 5 years?
I want to see it really getting people excited about reading the Bible and be on fire with their faith and be excited about sharing the word like stylishly and creatively with what they're wearing. I think for a long time, I was just kind of like, not really expressing my faith in the way that I wanted to. I was really reserved and like, can't step on anyone's toes. Like I can't express myself if I disagree with others. What will that look like? What will people say? And now I realize that there's so many people out there who just want the opportunity to say what's on their mind, just want the opportunity and the platform to say, this is what I believe. And I hope the clothes give them that encouragement to be like, yes, I have faith in the God of the Bible, and I'm going to rock it with the clothes that I wear.
As we start to wrap this up, I've got two quick questions for you. The first one is, where can we find you online if we want to connect with you, learn more about you?
So I am like in the process of getting so many social medias, have a Facebook group coming, a Facebook page coming, LinkedIn. I'm going to be on YouTube. I'm going to be on Instagram, Pinterest, a variety of different places. They're all going to be at LOM MOY.
For someone out there watching this YouTube video or listening to the podcast, they're thinking about applying to Hunters Fund. What advice would you offer them for taking action on that idea?
I would say go for it. You have nothing to lose. Just be yourself. Be honest, be open, and pour it all out there. I think sometimes we get caught up. Me personally, I get caught up in thinking like too much in my head and will it work? Will it not work? So just put it out there. So many more opportunities will come if you don't win, if you do win. So I would just say, try it.
Support from viewers like you make these grants possible. Support Hunters Fund.